to it. Let's get to it, all right? Let me go ahead and share bank, share screen. Today, though, this is what we're going to be going into. Let me show y'all. We're going to be going into the preface and the introduction and prologue and all those fancy words everybody like to use. We're going to be going into that, dealing with this text right here. All right. This right here is called the Gospel of the Nazarenes. Nazir Essenes, or Nazarites and Essenes combined. You get Nazarenes. So Nazarites and Essenes. All right. Now, somebody, well, who wrote the book? Look, these people down here didn't write it. It says edited and restored. Edited and restored with historical documentation by Alan Waters and Rick Van Wy. And why was something that's 2,000 years or purportedly to be 2,000 years old need to be edited? You understand? I mean, when they find certain scrolls and all that, some of it be fragments. Look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. You understand? And on top of that, let's all be real. None of us speak Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, Coptic. None of us speak any of that. Latin, we don't speak none of that. All right. So anyway, this is what we're going to be going into today. All right. We're going to be going into historical. There's going to be a lot of books being referred to as well. So, I mean, make sure y'all got y'all pens and y'all pads. Take these notes. All right. There's a lot of documentation of this way of life. This way of life, should I say, around circa 2,000 years ago. There are a lot of ancient testimonies from like 1,600 years ago speaking about it. 17, 1800, 1900. You understand? If you just trace the trail on down. So we about to get into it. This is the book we're going into right here today. All right, we're going into the introduction. We're not going to get into the actual text. We're going into the introduction, preface, and prologue, all right, if we got time. So let's get it. Let me drop that on down real quick. All right, let me stop sharing. And then double back up. All right, let me hit share, share screen. This should work right here. All right, let me know if y'all can see that. Let me know if y'all can see that. Let me grab this phone real quick. Let's work. Let's work. There's a lot of reading about to get done, all right? But it's all good. It gotta be done. All right, let me make sure we looking good real quick. See how we looking. Y'all forgive your brother. We about to rock. We about to really, really dig deep down. I hope y'all got whatever way you take notes, bring it. Bring it. Because we about to go ahead and really go ahead and challenge. All right. Now look, did it pull up? Let me see if it pulled up. Let me know if y'all can see that on the screen. If not, I'm gonna have to share it a different way. Nah, that ain't on there. That ain't on there. Hold on, y'all. That ain't on there. It's got the main page I went to, not the actual download. All right, hold on. Hold on. I got you. We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do it like this. I got you. There's more than one way to skin a cat. All right, let me stop share. Stop screen. All right, I'm going back in. Bang. Share screen. I'm gonna play it that way though. All right, so whatever I got on there, gotta pop up. All right, drop that. Jump up to that. Y'all should be able to see that. All right, this is the forward. All right, this is the forward. Nehemiah in the building, bless up. My beloved brother, bless up. You skinning animal, aka cat. Hey man, going off, huh? You know, I believe that too. All right. Hey, what you say, Imam? My cover got a bend in it like yours. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we rep that. Yeah. You know, we rep that Nazarene, Essene, all that. We repped it. All right, that's up. All right, we good. All right, so this is the forward. All right, beginning of the forward. And look, I'm just presenting the information. No need to get, in your feelings, even though I understand why one would be in their feelings, because when you expose something that's near and dear to them as being false, you understand, naturally the spirit they've been in agreement with gotta holler out. Y'all know we say what? Hit dogs holler. Hit dogs holler. So this is the forward. This is the forward right here. It says, without a historically accurate account of the times and teaching of Jesus or Yeshua, one is easily subjugated or subjected to the kind of distorted information propagated at the Council of Nicaea. Let that resonate. Let that resonate. It says, if you not look without a historically accurate account, you know what we've been doing? We've been confusing literature with history. That don't mean there's not historical things in the literature. You understand? But we have to differentiate the two. The Iliad, Homer, and all that. The Odyssey, that's literature. I mean, there may be some historical things in them, but make no mistake about it. You understand? Literature is literature. All right. So watch this. Without a historically accurate account of the times and teaching of Jesus, one is easily subjected to the kind of distorted information propagated at the Council of Nicaea and later in the 4th century. The Nicene Creed and all its related dogma transmitted through the ages as historical and spiritual truth has been perpetuated ever since. What you have is the Nicene Creed. That's what's going on. And yes, this is in the beginning of, or the forward of, the gospel of the Nazarenes, because 2,000 years ago, everybody didn't agree. Everybody that was an Israelite did not agree on the written Torah that they had at the time. Everybody didn't agree in the way the priesthood was moving. Everybody didn't agree with the Sadducees and the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the scribes. Everybody didn't agree with that. Everybody didn't agree with the feast days being on this date and that time. Like, there were different calendars, there were different doctrines. Everything everybody argue over today. Everything everybody argue over today, y'all, they've been arguing about it. All right. Now watch this. The Nicene Creed and all its related dogma transmitted through the ages as historical and spiritual truth has been perpetuated ever since. A gospel referred to under a number of different titles, the gospel of the Nazarenes being one of them, has also persisted through the centuries. See, now we got a problem, because if this has been around longer, just as long or even longer than the gospels you have in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, y'all, we got a problem. Why is this not in your Bible? Why is this not in the New Testament? Why is this considered a new doctrine today? This is new doctrine. This is what Israel's mad at us for. The honor and humility, brothers, because we call it for what it is. We're gonna call the obvious for the obvious. We're gonna call a spade a spade. Right? We came out last year telling everybody, look, there's conflicts, contradictions. It's problematic. You got to really know what you're doing to get the message of the Most High up out of there. You know what I mean? It's problematic, because at any point or at any turn, you can confuse the false gods, the deities, with the Most High or the Creator. Yeah, easy. Y'all seen a little bit of that last night. You feel me? Now watch this. So a gospel referred to under a number of different titles, the gospel of the Nazarenes being one of them, has also persisted through the centuries. This gospel, trip off this gospel was referred to by a number of church father historians. Now look at this. And these first two names right here, Papias and Hegesippus, go back to the 1st century. Meaning they were born in the 1st century. Meaning if they didn't know Yahshua, they knew his direct disciples. You see that? So you mean to tell me the church historians, many of whom were instrumental in deciding which books would be decided to be called the New Testament, they knew about the gospel of the Nazarenes already, though. They knew about the Nazarene and Essene literature. But guess what? It don't promote the agenda of Rome. It don't promote the bloodthirst of Rome. It don't promote the bloodthirst of the fourth beast. You see that? It don't. Now watch this. This gospel was referred to by a number of church father historians. Papias, write him down. Y'all need to know who these people are. So when they ask you, you have it on the fly. Meaning you done did your due diligence, your research. You ain't just saying I believe just because. You like, no, if a naysayer came and said, have you heard of the church father Epiphanius? Sure have. I got Epiphanius. Or Irenaeus, or Clement, or Origen, or St. Jerome. You ever heard of them? Pius, Agaspius, the Nazarene. Agaspius was called the Nazarene, 1st century. Basil, Eusebius. You should be able to have a dialogue about all that, because that means you did your due diligence. And what I'm going to tell y'all, if once you start digging and do your due diligence, even back to the church historians, who many of them never met the Messiah nor his direct disciples, except for those first two. Right? Many of them knew exactly what the mission was, knew exactly what the movement was about. You understand? Sure about this. Some of them was even plant-based. But when it came down to deciding what is allowed into what's agreed upon to be the New Testament and what's not, it did. If it wasn't promoting the agenda of Rome, So when they come together and they agree upon it, then by force, whoever is caught teaching opposite of this Nicene Creed, hey, it's a problem. And this is how the Nazarene way slowly start fading out. Rome and her agents. Now look at this. The way of Yahshua, the Nazarene, as taught in this gospel, is the ancient way of life taught since the time of Enoch, Hanuk, and Noah. So meaning it's the way, it's the ways of the Creator, it's the ways of the Most High. It's not promoting the ways of Rome, right? It's historical authenticity. Trip about this. Its historical authenticity is validated by its total alignment with ancient teachings found in the Torah and the Talmud. Although it may appear shocking to those brought up on the King James, there is strong historical evidence that these teachings are essentially the same as the Bet Hillel school of Pharisees and the Essenes of that time. And the Essenes of that time. Look at that. Right there. There is also some historical evidence that Yahshua studied with Hillel the Elder, who founded the Bet Hillel branch of Pharisees. Yahshua and the members of the Bet Hillel school, which was a slight minority to the Bet Shammai school, were persecuted. So the school that Yahshua was a part of was persecuted. Look at this. By the Bet Shammai Pharisees, who were in control at that time. Yes, Yahshua was brought up not only as a Yahudi or a Jew, but in the Nazarite Essene or Nazarene sect of the Essene branch of Judaism. Look at that. Look at that. Differentiating what he was on versus what the mainstream beliefs was of his day. Y'all see that? Yes, Yahshua was brought up not only as a Yahudi or a Jew, Yahudim, but in the Nazarite Essene or Nazarene sect of the Essene branch of Judaism. Many of the Essenes at that time were previously Hillel Pharisees who were forced to leave the sect because of the bitterness of the attacks by the Shammai Pharisees. Look at that. So now we're going to examine the flip side of the coin today. Y'all see that? And that's just the first page of the forward. That's just the first page. All right, let's get back to it. I got y'all. Rock with me. I got you. All right. Let's get this one right here. Wow. See, this is what Israel is afraid of. When we come out and tell you 40 years you wandered in the wilderness and error and you never knew the Creator. You ready to hang me from the gateway arch, but then when I go pull it out of Psalm, the 95th chapter, verse 8 on down, now there's a problem. It says you never had the knowledge of the Most High in the wilderness. You carried the tabernacle of Molech and Shion. Your gods you made unto yourselves. Therefore, captivity cometh, because you serve and deal with the false deities, the false gods. See, that's right in the Bible. See, so we deal with you wherever you at. You in the Bible, let's deal with the Bible, and let's address the scriptures in the Bible, in Amos and Hosea and Jeremiah and Isaiah, in the Gospels. Let's get into it. Let's address certain aspects of the Torah and all that. Let's get into it. Now look at this. The teachings of these things. The teachings of these things included vegetarianism. So they was plant-based. I mean the Messiah. So this evidence points toward the Messiah being plant-based, not chewing on animals at the feasts. You won't find it in this gospel. The Messiah nor any of his students or disciples, none of them chewed on animals. They weren't chewing on the dead flesh of animals. None of them. Not in this gospel. All right. And I'm going to show as we keep reading why this gospel has the historical authenticity. You understand? If you don't want to believe it, to at least be considered. If you run in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and don't even know if Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote those gospels, then at least hear the historical authenticity, the historical research that's being brought out about what we're bringing out. I'm not just telling you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And when you come asking for some historical data, I can't provide you none. Like we go into the gospel of the Nazarenes and give you the historical background on it. Now watch this. The teachings of the Essenes included vegetarianism, negation of sacrifice / cruelty to animals. You see that? They weren't just plant-based, you know what I mean? They was like, nah, we against the sacrifices that's going on in the temples and the tabernacles. We against the animal sacrifices / cruelty to animals. Also, karma / reincarnation. However you look at that, me myself, I don't believe in reincarnation. It's just, I just don't. You know what I mean? But karma, as if you're looking at karma as what you put out, you receive back, then I can rock with that. Absolutely. Immortality of the soul, love of neighbor as self. So the Essenes also taught the immortality of your soul and to love your neighbor as yourself. Sound familiar, don't it? And the mission to share the one creator. It do say Lord right there, but they were dealing with the creator. I've showed in other past lessons that the Essenes in that cycle, they were the ones that had the light of the creator. The Essenes, Nazarenes. All right. So it says, and the mission to share the creator, a common term used for deity in this time period, whatever, with all nations. All right. So, and the mission to share the creator with all nations. See, that's problematic for majority. I ain't gonna say all Israelites, but majority of mainstream Israel or Hebrew Israelism or Israelisms, Israelitisms. You know what I mean? The mainstream of that ain't with sharing nothing with no nations. But see that the doctrine of the Essenes or the Nazarenes, you understand, is because you got to spread the one light of the Creator or share that with all who are willing to hear. Period, point blank in the story. You understand? And trip off this, y'all. No matter when, that's that frankincense for y'all don't know. Being that's that marvelous Mac. That's pure frankincense body oil. But anyway, the mission is to serve or to share the one Lord Creator or the one Creator with all nations. For example, there's an account of Menahem the Essene, who in 20 BCE, before the Common Era, led 160 Essenes in teaching the one Creator to the nations. Look at him. Now look him up. Look up Menahem the Essene. Menahem the Essene, and look at when he was on his mission before the Common Era. 20 years before the Common Era, he led 160 Essenes in teaching about the Creator to the nations. This they did not as conquerors, They didn't come in, with the missionaries and then with their, with their Knights Templars. That ain't how they got down. This they did not as conquerors, forcing a particular religion on the population, but rather as teachers, respecting the right of each nation and individual to develop their own personal way to come to know the one or the creator without beginning or end. See, so they came demonstrating the light of the creator. And it wasn't with the sword. It wasn't with the sword. You see that? And in that, see, you thinking we all got to agree on every point and exact directly. No, that ain't necessarily the case. But see, when you're dealing with the Most High, or you're dealing with the one creator, as the text is saying, there are common core beliefs and principles that we all agree on. Who knew about Menahem the Essene, who was doing the work of the creator 20 years before the Common Era? And his missionary work included sharing the creator or the Most High with all the nations. You see that? And it wasn't by the sword, but rather as teachers, respecting the right of each nation and individual. About this, each nation and individual to develop their own